Thank you for visiting my YouTube channel to get your daily Bible verse and Bible chapter. I hope you have a great day and come back each and every day for a new verse and a new chapter. Thank you and God bless. Today's verse of the day is Ephesians 6:12, NIV. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers and against the authorities, against the power of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Again, today's verse of the day is Ephesians 6:12, NIV. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. One of my favorite verses is Philippians 4:13. It says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If you have your own favorite verse, please put that down below and let me know what it is. And don't forget to smile, because you never know what a smile can do for someone's day. First Samuel 30. David's strength was in his God. 3 days later, David and his men arrived back in Ziklag. Amalekites had raised up Negev and Ziklag. They tore Ziklag to pieces and burned it down. They captured all the women young and old. They killed everyone. They didn't kill everyone, but drove them like a herd of cattle. By the time David and his men entered the village, it had been burned to the ground. All their wives, sons, and daughters, all taken prisoner. David and his men burst out in loud wails and wept until they were exhausted of weeping. David's 2 wives, Ahinoam and Jezreel, and Abigail, widow of Nabal of Carmel, had been taken prisoner along with the rest. And suddenly David was in even worse trouble. There was talk among the men, bitter over the loss of their families, of straying him. David strengthened himself with trust in his God. He ordered Abigail, the priest's son of Amish, bring me the ephod so I can consult God. Ab brought it to David. Then David prayed to God, shall I go after these raiders? Can I catch them? The answer came, go after them. Yes, you'll catch them. Yes, you'll make the rescue. David went, he and his 600 men with him. They arrived at Brook Besser, where some of them dropped out. David and 400 men kept up the pursuit, but 200 were too fatigued to cross the Brook Besser and stayed there. Some who went on across an Egyptian in the field and took him to David. They gave him bread and he ate and drank some water. They gave him a piece of fig cake and a couple of raisin muffins. Life began to revive in him. He hadn't eaten or drinking a thing for 3 days and nights. David said to him, "Who do you belong to? Where are you from?" "I am an Egyptian slave of an Amalekite." He said, "My master walked off and left me when I got sick. That was 3 days ago." We had raided Negev of Canaanites, of Judah, and of Caleb. Ziklag we burned. David asked him, "Can you take us to the raiders? Promise me by God." He said, "That you won't kill me or turn me over to my old master, and I'll take you straight to the raiders." He led David to them. They were scattered all over the place, eating and drinking, gorging themselves on all the loot they had plundered from Philistia and Judah. David pounced. He fought them from before sunrise until evening the next day. None got away except 400 of the younger men, who escaped by riding off on camels. David rescued everything the Ammonites had taken, and he rescued his 2 wives. Nothing and no one was missing, young or old, son or daughter, plunder or whatever. David recovered the whole lot. He hoarded the sheep and cattle before them, and they all shouted, "David's plunder." Then David came to the 200 men who had been too tired to continue with him and dropped out at the Brook Besser. They came out to welcome David and his band. As they came near, he called out, "Success!" But all the mean-spirited men had marched with David. He rabbled. Element objected. They didn't help in the rescue. They don't get any of the plunder we recovered. Each man can have his wife and children, but that's it. Take them and go. Families don't do this sort of things. Oh no, my brothers, said David as he broke up an argument. You can't act this way with what God gave us. God kept us safe. He handed over the raiders who attacked us. Who would ever listen to this kind of talk? The share of the one who stays with the gear is the share of the one who fights. Equal shares. Share and share alike. From that day on, David made that rule in Israel, and it still is. On returning to Ziklag, David sent portions of the plunder to the elders of Judah, his neighbors, with a note, saying, a gift from the plunder of God's enemies. He sent them to the elders in Bethel, Ramoth, Negev, Jetar, Samuth, Espora, Raquel, Gemanite cities, Canite cities, Hamar, Borashan, Athar, and Hamar, along with a number of other places David and his men went to from time to time. Thank you for listening to this chapter, and God bless.